Hello, my name is Emma, and today we're going to be doing an alcohol ink tutorial. I'm going to show you the materials that you're going to need and how you can create some beautiful abstract alcohol ink pieces like these assorted ones I have on my desk. So first of all, you're going to want to make sure you're working in a well-ventilated area, and I do like to cover my hands in hand sanitizer first and put on some gloves because ink is very messy, as you can see by my desk. Next, you're going to need your inks. I use Tim Holtz Ranger inks like this one. This is Sailboat Blue. And the colors I'm going to be using for this piece today are Shell Pink, Cloudy Blue, Eggplant, which is a super rich ink that gets some beautiful pink and blue undertones to it, so the colors will match nicely. Oh goodness. And Stonewashed. These are all by Tim Holtz, and they're lovely. Obviously, you're going to need some rubbing alcohol. The highest percent, the better. So I'm using some 91% isopropyl rubbing alcohol. And I like to put it in a bunch of different little bottles and add ink to that so it gets a nice tint to it. I've got a bunch of different colors. I also put my ink in this little bowl. I used to use it as an ashtray, and now it is for ink. So I add the ink to the bowl and then add alcohol, and you can really get some cool effects by having the ink be darker in some places of the bowl and lighter when it mixes together with the alcohol. I also use Tim Holtz alcohol blending solution. A lot of people think, why would you need this if you already have rubbing alcohol? But they do behave very differently. I believe this is a little more concentrated and it actually lightens the inks even more than rubbing alcohol. So I typically like to use this for making flowers or more detailed areas, like for the petals, whereas rubbing alcohol is good to cover larger surfaces. So I really would recommend having both. Also, you want to use droppers and paintbrushes to apply your inks. And then I also use a straw for more control over moving the inks. And of course, a blow dryer. Mine has taken a beating through time, but it's still going strong. So, yes, I believe that's about everything you will need. I do like to use these little stamping tools by Tim Holtz as well in a lot of my pieces. And some different kinds of bottles, like this candy making one, to move the isopropyl alcohol around, as well as some spray bottles. So that's about everything you'll need. Let's get into the piece now. I usually like to start off with putting rubbing alcohol on first. You get different effects if you apply the ink before the isopropyl or vice versa. I tend to like the effects of placing the alcohol first. I'm going to be using a straw for this piece because I want more control, and that's how you get more control. You can't ever really control the inks. They have a mind of their own, but you can try. You can't really go into it with a fixed idea of what you want because you don't know what's going to come out, and that's what I love about these inks. So first I'm just going to start off by putting some alcohol on my piece. This has a yellow tint to it, of course. And I'm going to go in with the Cloudy Blue. It's straight into the alcohol. And then I'm going to follow with the Shell Pink. I really like this color combo, especially when I add in the Eggplant because the undertones kind of go together. I'm leaving some of the rubbing alcohol bare without ink because that will create a cool effect as well. So blowing the ink. Back and forth in the same area so that the ink will overlap upon itself and create some pretty cool effects that way. And then I'm going to heat set it with my blow dryer. go. Looking pretty nice so far. Next, I'm gonna go in with my paintbrush in this bowl it has some Stream and some Stone Washed mixed with isopropyl alcohol. Also, you definitely want to have a paintbrush on hand. Now I'm gonna go in and add some little effects around the piece with my brush. And because that is already saturated with another color, I can mix it with the pink and get some cool tones that way. Now in this area, I'm going to place the eggplant down over here. I like to use a paintbrush because there's more control that way. Now, eggplant, one of my favorite colors ever. You're gonna get some of those spindles, which can be cool but also annoying. You just can't know exactly what to expect when you go in. I'm gonna take this bigger brush so that I can have it be a little more saturated. I want this to be a pretty cloudy look. There we go. This is all about playing. You do not know what you're gonna get whatsoever. So don't try. Now this is just plain old rubbing alcohol with a little tint. Like I'm not saturating that with any further ink. Up here, I will though. You can always manipulate the ink by moving the paper. Just be careful not to touch the ink with your hands. Adding more shell pink because they blend together beautifully. Look at that variation, the variations of color you see in there. Which is absolutely gorgeous. Now I definitely want more shell pink over here. Why? Well, that's how long they take. Thank you to my boyfriend for helping me film this video, because I don't know how to film these with my own hand while doing this. This is a two-hand job.
Three hands.
Three-hand job, correct. You can get cool textures in there as well. That's where I just absolutely love these inks. They're wild cards. and it's pretty wonderful. Just really going in with a brush to add some more detailing and layering. Layering them on top of one another in kind of whatever order seems fit. So I'm really liking that. You definitely don't want to overwork it. Way easier said than done. Now, lastly, I'm going to go in with a small brush. I'm going to add some dots. I really love the way that they look like bubbles. I think it's just super intriguing, the effect that it will create in your work. You can even create like little tiny bubbles in little areas. You can also do this with the Tim Holtz stamping tool, which I actually do not own yet, but check out Tim Holtz's videos and you'll be able to see some super cool effects you can get with a stamping pad to create little bubbles like this, but with multiple colors at once. It's amazing what their scientists can do. All right, that's looking pretty awesome, I think. One more bubble over here. There's really no order to it, or rhyme, or reason. It's just fun. It's just playing. That's what art is about. Alright. I just like to have a mixture of sizes to these bubbles. Now, in order to layer on them, I'm going to take the Stone Washed, and I have it so that the ink is darker in some areas, and then a layer watch how it reacts with the ink that's already there. Very tiny little details going. It's pretty awesome, huh? I just really like to have these bubbles to have a lot of dimension and depth to them. And go in with different colors on top of one another, mixed with rubbing alcohol. Oh, that was an accident. Oh well, accidents are very forgiven with alcohol inks. Another lovely, lovely part of using this medium. Because if you're like me, or if you happen to be a human being, you will make mistakes. Alright, now lastly, I'm actually going to pour some of this excess ink into a cup just because I want it to be the last dots to be darker, so I don't want there to be as much rubbing alcohol in here. Eggplant, the coolest color. Actually, no, I think Stream's the coolest, but Eggplant's a second. Now you can see this color is way more saturated. I'm going to go over that one more time with more alcohol over top of that, and then you will have like 5 layers in these little bubbles. Pretty awesome. Pretty fucking awesome. Oops, I cursed. Language. Sorry, children that are watching. You're probably not watching this. I don't think your parents will let you use this medium. It's so fun to watch it react. Putting some blending solution now, which, remember, behaves differently than the rubbing alcohol, so I will show you that. It's way better for details. And it really sucks the pigment right off the page beautifully. I like to use paintbrushes over droppers just because I feel like I have more control. My droppers are also pretty cheap, and that's another factor, but they all come in handy, but you'll learn the personal preferences you have that work better for you. All right. So there you have it. This is my alcohol ink piece. Went for a cloud look today. Didn't really know what I was gonna get. I was hoping to, continue this series and go for the wispy, cloudy, ethereal blue pink look. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Comment if you would like to see more.